Hello guys, welcome to another Pain Academy video. Today we are going to talk about Magnus, and this will be part 4. If you watched part 1 through 3, which I will link down in the descriptions below, we did focus on Magnus in his legendary 5 form. And you should have learned how he behaves, and also might recall me saying that the only meta team for Magnus was the multi-hit team. This is still true for L5 and most likely also for L4. However, today and this season we are going to talk about Magnus in his legendary 3 form and his legendary 3 map. At this difficulty and on this map, the Admech survive long enough to do serious damage if we play them smartly. And just to be clear, this video will not focus on the behavioral mechanics of the mech team. This is something I want to do a deep dive on at a later time, but in the meantime you can check out Nandi's recent video on the mechs. I'll put a link to that in the descriptions as well. This video, however, assumes that you know how the mechs function, so we'll just focus on the turn-by-turn play and things to watch out for. To make this run work, we need to block a lot of the map to stop Magnus from moving around. With his move 5, which is one of the most on any boss, it is quite difficult and requires us to have a lot of ranged attacks. So the standard Admech trio of Exeter Row, Tangira and Actus is obviously a must, but we also bring Show in this fight for range and his awesome move block capabilities, which he gets from using his drone. And what you may or may not know is that Helbrecht's abilities, most importantly his passive, Destroy the Witch, it also works on Row's passive ability, so Helbrecht is still best in slot against Magnus, since Magnus is a psyker, even if we run the mechs. The game plan is basically to set up and kill the 3 Rubric Marines, 1, 2, 3, turn 1, and then kill the 2 Terminators over here, turn 2, while also blocking the spaces that we don't want Magnus to go in, and then go all in on attacking Magnus from turn 3 onwards. Using the first 2 turns to kill his ads leaves us 2 turns to get Magnus down from his starting high ground position. In this particular run, which is a really good one by my buddy Slado, we are lucky that Magnus comes down turn 1 and then we are able to keep him on the low ground. Gear-wise for this fight, the only important thing is to have a level 11 crit gun on Exeter Row and a level 11 mantle on Row. And mantle is the item that gives the HP buff. On this run, Play-Doh had a level 10 mantle, but Exeter Row barely survives, so it's better with some more margin there. I still think even if we have winged Exeter Row with level 11 mantle, he can still die if we have some bad RNG on the spread on Magnus abilities. Okay, so let's do the run, and I'll comment as we go along. We start with taking out this Rubric Marine with Row and Show. This mine here is placed so that we get the Terminator to move forward. We know he wants to go into the grass, so he will move here to kill that. Then we use Tangira and Actus to kill the second Rubric Marine, and Helbrecht to kill the last. As you can see now, we have covered a lot of the map, and we know the Scarab Cult Terminator will go to this grass and the other guy will go to this grass to kill the mine. This leaves only one place for Magnus to go. He can of course stay on top here and do a clone or something like that, but if he moves, he can only move down to this area here. Okay, so as you can see in this video, he comes down and he puts his gaze on Actus. The first gaze is random, as you should know now. So the second turn now we just use to clear out the Terminators and get into position. This mine is used to kill his ghost, so we can kill him with show. And we will kill the other Terminator using Tangida, but he will move like this to get better spread on the Skitari. Then we move row up and we move Helbrecht. And here's one very important thing. You obviously want to attack with row here, but no, do not do that. Nothing has attacked Magnus this turn so far. As you can see, we have 0 damage dealt. And as you know, Magnus Gaze, where is it? Here it is, targets the unit that did the most damage the last turn. And we do not want to put our gaze on row at this stage. That means he will die a turn early when we actually have a lot of things attacking and a lot of row triggers. So we only attack with Helbrecht and then we skip the turn. Do not attack with row. As you can see, Helbrecht got the gaze because he was the only thing that attacked Magnus. And obviously the row has attacked him a lot of times at the start of this turn. So from the next turn onward, row will definitely have Magnus Gaze. So this turn, we have our Skitari in a nice line here. We can get the last one out over here. So we move Actus and Tan. And we get Helbrecht into position. And then we put this mine over here. And that is to stop Magnus from going this way. He has move 5, so he could fly anywhere in those 2 positions. He can still get down here. So we do need to block that as well. And we use show to do that. This means show cannot shoot this turn. But show has his active, so it's not completely useless. But it's much more important to keep Magnus in place. So we attack with Helbrecht, attack with row, and then we generate the last Skitari and reactivate our guys. So Magnus still hasn't cloned anyone, which is nice. And as we said, he damaged Helbrecht with the last gaze and then moved his gaze to exit the row. And it will stay there, which is the reason we don't want it before this turn. So now we're basically ready to activate exit the rows active ability, Core Claw, and Helbrecht's Crusade of Wrath. So we'll do that. And then we will go full tilt on Magnus this turn. And then we are moving show over here. And we place a mine down here so Magnus can't get there. We knew that the mine over here would die to the fire. But actually we do want Magnus to move over to this side. And that is because now Ro can move out of the fire, which lets him survive one more turn. Now he has 2 gazes. So as you can see, he has about 5000 HP left, and this gaze will not kill him 2 times this attack, but Magnus also attacks one more time, most likely with his Blade of Magnus, and hopefully the sum of the Blade of Magnus and the 2 stacks of Gaze of Magnus isn't killing Ro. That means our damage will drop a lot if he does. But even so, the damage will be good, even if we lose Ro. So we move Ro out and Helbrecht in. And now my buddy Slado here does a mistake that he's cursing himself over back in the guild raid channel. because he didn't recognize it. So he will move Tangida from this spot where Tangida could activate these two Skitarii and the drone, and move it over here to get one less activation. So 2 times, 1 less activation. And as we will see at the end of the movie, that was unfortunate, because it would have been an extra cool run if he didn't do that. So last turn we also need to make sure that Magnus doesn't flee anywhere. He cannot go back here, cannot go up here. He now cannot go down here. And he shouldn't be able to go down here either. So he is stuck. So exit the row, barely survived. I mean, it's not margin, but yeah, he might die, but it would still have been about 750 or 800k run, even if he perished at this point. But now we can just finish off our attacks and yeah, let's see what damage we get. Nine, 8, 7. So with 2 more activations on that turn with Tangida, that would have been 1,000,000 damage on Magnus on L3 with Admech, which would have been really cool. I will show you 2 more video snippets of other runs by my guildmates. This is one from Broken Hyena, which you might remember, and see what can go wrong if you do not listen to the stuff I said in the previous run. So let's just run this forward. Broken is using a slightly different opening from turn 2 onwards. Turn 1 was the same. But here, instead of throwing the mine on top of this guy, which is probably the better play, he is just killing the other guy with show, and then killing this guy with Tangida and Ro. That means this guy resurrects. So his plan here was to kill it with Ro and Helbrecht, which is fine in itself. But Ro already has the gaze, so we don't want him to attack Magnus. And I don't think he meant for it to happen, but obviously Tangida activates Ro. So when he now attacks with Tan, which he was hoping to get the gaze over to Tan, well, Ro is now stuck with the gaze. The Magnus was trapped, but Ro is now already damaged and has 2 gazes way too early. So we can just watch how this plays out. So we'll now use the active abilities, and then Actus will probably heal Ro as best as he can. But now with 3 stacks, he will not survive. As you can see. So that's 2 turns of lost damage on Ro, just because we couldn't get the Gaze of Magnus off at the start of that other turn. So it's basically half damage because of that 1 mistake. Let's check out another mistake. In this run, this is also Broken Hyena. Same turn 1 start. Here Magnus did not come down turn 1. That's okay. Still set up so that we couldn't have Magnus moving anywhere else than to get down here, and with all the targets to hit with his fire, we still got him down this turn, and that's the most important thing. So we set up Helbrecht and Ro in their positions, And we can now still get Tangida and Actus in decent position, like in the good run we watched first. So everything good so far. Now we can reactivate. Still have we have all the Skitari out, so we're not getting this last guy. But then here comes the mistake. Magnus has move 5, he can't go over here. But he can move down here. Fill this gap. And actually this gap here as well. So Broken here placed the mine 1 hex too far down. Probably didn't see this hex being free because of the fire. And this stuff happens all the time, and you'll just have to deal with it and learn from it. But obviously at this point Ro lost his high ground, so even if we can get down and keep attacking, the damage is going to be very different. And obviously Tangida and his Skitari are out of position. So yeah, this run also ends up at 500 something K. You can see how one minor mistake just destroys this run, so you need to be careful. But that's it. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of this type of content, and we will see you another time. Bye bye.